What's up, everybody? This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, and this is MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents Spinoff Series Thursdays. Cheer! What's up, everybody? This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, your host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, and this week's sponsorship is from Newsly. Newsly is a all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and read them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time in ever on the internet, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from topic choose, start playing, start scrolling, and start listening. You can follow any topics as you specifically as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, even for the Kardashians. It will find you on the latest article and you read them to you out loud. And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, is on there as well. Yes, it is. Shout out to Newsly for that. I started using it as my default podcast app. Download and use Newsly for free from www.newsly.me or from the link in the description. Use the promo code MrGentleman that I will also put in the description and receive 1 month free premium subscription. So you already know, y'all, download Newsly now. Check it out. Support them, y'all. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, your host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, and enjoy the show. You are now listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents a conversation about music podcast. Chew! Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, 1/4 of the Premier Boys Podcast, your host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Welcome to another new episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast presents a conversation about music podcast, a part of Spinoff Series Thursdays. Hope all is well. I know it's been a while. This episode was supposed to happen last week, but due to my throat being messed up, I didn't get no Spinoff Series Thursday episode or a Sunday episode. But don't worry about it. We back, and here is another new episode of a conversation about music podcast. And on this episode, I did a segment on me and my bros show, the Premier Boys Podcast. And the segment was called MrGentleman Review of the Week, where I review a album, TV show, a movie, and I'll give y'all my review about it, my short review about it. But for this episode, I will be doing a MrGentleman album review. And I'm going to give to y'all 6 to 7 albums, and I will review them. Pretty much 7 recent albums that just came out. And I'm going to review them. I'm going to give y'all my honest review. And just to let you know, these opinions is my opinions. Just thought I'd put that out there. And y'all already know what to do. Sit back, relax, and I'll be right back.
Hi, my name is B Wise, and you are listening to MrGentleman's Lifestyle Podcast.
Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, and I am the host of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. And this commercial break is brought to you by MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. On MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, we interview many guests about their life journey, pretty much where they come from and where they at now. Also promoting their brands or whatever they're doing at the time they come on the show. We also have the host talk about personal stories about himself and everything that he's been through. And also we have fun conversation about anything music, anything old school, relationships, wrestling, and many more. And y'all can tune in to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast every Sundays at 12 a.m. We are also on every Thursdays at 12 a.m. for Spinoff Series Thursdays, where we have all of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Spinoff Series all in one day, where we have a conversation about music podcast every first Thursday at 12 a.m. The Old School Show with myself and the Star Riding Rod every fourth Thursday at 12 a.m. And we have Date Night Talk Podcast with myself and Miss Vanna B every second and third Thursdays at 12 a.m. And y'all can tune in to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pods, and many more. Or y'all can check it out on the official website of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast, www.realmrgentlemanlifestylepodcast.com, www.realmrgentlemanlifestylepodcast.com, and tune in every Sundays and Thursdays at 12 a.m. for MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in to this commercial break of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Cheer!
I am Jimmy Uriah Starr, and you are listening to MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. And at this time to do the MrGentleman album reviews, where I will review 6 to 7 albums, and I'll let you know how I feel about them. These are all recent albums that just came out recently, and I'll let you know how I feel about them. Disclaimer: these are my opinions, and if y'all agree with my opinions, cool, but these are my opinions. And yeah, the first album that we're going to talk about is Nas' 17th album, Magic 3, that came out on September 14th, on Nas' 50th birthday. This album was produced by Hit Boy. This was his 6th album that was produced by Hit Boy. Second album that came out this year. And, first thing first, him and Hit Boy was a dope collabo. Came out with 6 dope albums. 3 of them with King Disease, and 3 of them with Magic. And we gotta give Nas his credit at the age of 50. Just been killing it. Shout out to the legend Nas. Now the Magic series. I liked the Magic series. I would say this out of that and King Disease, the Magic series not as memorable as King Disease was. I'm gonna say that. But as terms of Magic 3, I enjoyed Magic 3. This probably was my favorite out of the Magic series. And I enjoyed Magic 3. On this album, Lil Wayne was the only guest appearance on this album. And my favorite tracks off this album was Superhero Status, I Love the Feeling, and Pretty Young Girl. This album peaked at 65 on the top 200 Billboard charts. Like I said, shout out to Nas, and this will be the last collabo album in a while between him and Hit Boy. That was a pretty dope piece of work. Yeah, check out that Nas album. Hip Hop is here. The next album that I'm going to talk about is Travis Scott's 4th album, Euphoria. which came out on July 27th of this year. And I'm gonna tell you something about Travis Scott. I actually like Travis Scott. I like Travis Scott. I like the stuff that he produced with good music and everybody else. I actually like, my favorite album from Travis Scott is Astro World, which was a really dope album, stuff like that. But how I feel about this album, honestly, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. It had 19 features on this album. 19 features. Literally 19 features. I'm going to name a few now. He had Drake on the album. He had Playboy Cardi on the album. He had Beyonce, 21 Savage, The Weeknd, Swing Lee. He had Dave Chappelle on this album. He had Young Thug, Kid Cudi, Scissor, Future, and many more. Honestly, the album had like 19 tracks. In my opinion, I wasn't feeling this album. I like Travis Scott, but I wasn't feeling this album at all. This album was so bad to me that I had to re-listen to Astro World just so I could enjoy myself. And honestly, I wasn't feeling this album at all. I wasn't feeling this album. Favorite songs of this album were Telekinesis with Scissor and Future. And while I would rate this album, a 2. This wasn't my favorite Travis Scott project. Oh yeah, and going back to Nas, I didn't rate Nas' album. I would rate Nas Magic 3 a 5. So yeah. But on the Billboard chart, this album debuted at number 1. It did stay at number 1 for a while, because we spoke about this on the Premier Boy podcast. And so it peaked chart number 1. And yeah, I mean, even though I didn't like this album, there's many people out there that did like this album. So, Travis Scott. Next, we got Diddy's 5th studio album, the Love Album, Off the Grid, that came out on September 15th. Honestly, when I heard Off the Grid, I did not have high expectation of it. But when I actually heard it, it was way better than I expected. Way better than I expected. From front to back, this was a really good album. It had a lot of dope artists on here. Of course, it will be a few artists that I would switch off and add more, legendary people like Usher, stuff like that. Overall, this was a good Diddy project. And that says a lot about Diddy, but this was a really good Diddy project. And I enjoyed this album. I enjoyed the Love album. Songs I like off this album is Mary J. Blige, I Like. Moments feature Justin Bieber. Stay Part 1 feature Casey from Jodeci. Tough Love with Swing Lee. And What Love. Like I said, this was a really good album. And I would rate it a 4. Like I said, front to finish, this was a really good album. Diddy really brought back that feel-good music on this album. Like, feel-good music. Like, it was a feel-good R&B album. It's something that we have not heard in a while. So yeah, I give this a 4. Good job, Diddy. On the Billboard charts, it peaked at number 19 on the Billboard charts. The next album that I'm going to talk about is Olivia Rodrigo, Guts, that came out on September 8th. I was curious about this because I seen this killing on the charts and stuff like that. I wasn't a big fan of her. I mean, I liked the driver's seat song she had on her first album, but I was curious about this. So, and I do like pop. I don't only listen to R&B and rap. We're not today's rap, but you know what I mean. So, but I listen to pop too every here and there. So I was curious about hearing this album, and I took a listen to this album. It was a very short album. It had 12 songs. It was a pretty good project. I was shocked by it. I felt like for a sophomore album, she did a really good job, and I see why that it's debuted number 1, and on the top 200 Billboard chart. Songs I like on this album was All American B, Bad Idea Right, The Single, Vampire, and Lacey. Like I said, this was a cool album. Shout out to her. I guess album 4. Shout out to Olivia Rodrigo. Just a really good album. Of course, this album peaked at number 1. I don't really have to say much to say about that. Yeah, there you go. Next, we got Doja Cat, latest album called Scarlet that came out on September 22nd. And how I feel about this album, Doja Cat. I mean, I guess I was curious because of the singles that she came out with. Paint the Town Red with a really good song. That song just got back to number 1 on the Billboard charts. Literally, just like the third time that it was on, that was number 1 on Billboard charts. And that was catchy. And I always had mixed feelings about her as an artist. Like, she one of those artists that is weird, but very talented in total sense. And on this album, she showed more of her rapping side. In the past, she always did like the pop stuff, but she showed more her rapping side. And I'm not gonna hold you, she didn't disappoint. First half was alright, but second half was really good. I feel like she did a good job with this album. And yeah, favorite song on this album was Paint the Town Red, Ivy Hills, Can't Wait, and Love Life. I would rate this album a 3. Yeah, Doja Cat did a good job. 3.5. She did a good job. On the top 200 Billboard charts, she peaked at number 4 on the top 200 Billboard charts. Next we got Burna Boy, I Be Told, that came out on August 25th. And this is Burna Boy's 7th album. Yes, this is his 7th album. And yeah, everybody thinks that he's a new artist, but he's not a new artist. Cause he been doing this thing in Nigeria. But yeah, this is the 7th album. I heard the album and it was an alright album. I mean, I wasn't really expecting much from this album. Cause I already heard people who told me that this album was just alright. So I was just curious to listen to myself, and it really was just alright. I like him as an artist. He's pretty dope. He's pretty dope. But it wasn't that special to me. It was average. The album was pretty much average. Songs I like off this album was "Sitting on Top of the World" with 21 Savage. Of course, you didn't need 21 Savage on the song, but that's just me. Unformed, Thanks, featured J. Cole. Of course, my guy J. Cole. And City Boy, which I've been playing a lot lately. I rate this album a 3. This album wasn't a bad album, but like I said, it wasn't a bad album, but it wasn't nothing special to me. I rate this album a 3. On the Billboard chart, it peaked at number 31, and there you go. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about this album. Drake. This is Drake's 8th studio album called For All the Dogs. How I feel about Drake For All the Dogs. Before I dive into this album, me and the bros on the podcast, we got this running joke on the show called about Drake that he is a music sexual. What is a music sexual is that how we have our meaning of that is that he can't decide what gender that he want to do. Meaning, like, is he a rap artist? Is he a singer? If he a pop artist? If he a reggae artist? And stuff like that. And that always been a running joke on the show. It's a funny joke. Don't take it serious, y'all. But it's been a funny joke. Stuff like that. And honestly, how we feel about that meaning with Drake was pretty much what this album was. Because this was not a good album, like, at all. I listen to Drake a lot, and I always had things to say about Drake when it comes to his albums. Some albums were really good. Some albums took me a while to listen to. But this album, It was not good. I'm sorry. It was not good at all. It felt like it was all over the place. It felt like he was trying to make a good project, but it didn't feel like a good project to me. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people get upset by it. I kind of get what Joe Budden was saying. I'm sorry, but this wasn't a good project to me. And I like Drake. So, was this one of his worst albums? It's pretty much close to one of his worst albums. I always used to say More Life was his worst album, but this was really a bad album to me. It was really a bad album. He had 23 songs off his album. Guests on this album was... Let's talk about who was on this album. We had 21 Savage, we had J. Cole, we had SZA, we had Party Next Door, we had Chief Keef, we had Sexy Red. As soon as I seen those two, I was already not interested in hearing this album. When I saw the fact that I already was interested, but I like, you know what, Drake. We were talking about Drake for a long time, so I was curious to hear this album. Then I heard this album, and like I said, I felt it was all over the place. It wasn't a great project. Out of 23 songs, it was only 5 songs I liked was this album. Only 5 songs I liked was this album. Oh yeah, he also had Bad Bunny on this album too. Yeah, this was a good album. This is actually close to one of his worst albums that I heard for Drake. Songs I liked was this album. Of course, I like him and J. Cole song, First Shooter, and I like the Slime Me Out with him and SZA. But other than that, I did not really like anything on this album. Like, sadly. Well, I rate this album, I give it a 2. I give it a 2, and yeah. But what was my favorite Drake album, which is still my favorite Drake album to this day, Take Care. Nothing was the same. Take Me Later. You know, those three will forever be my favorite Drake album. You know, yeah. I mean, yeah. This wasn't, like I said, this was a good Drake. This was a good Drake album, and yeah. But like I said at the beginning of the show, this was my opinions and my opinions only, and that's how I felt. This was not a good Drake album. No, this wasn't. I can't say what's on the chart because I have not been on the charts yet. But looking online, it began mixed reviews. It began really mixed reviews and stuff like that. Also, what I did like about this album was he threw shots at Rihanna, Kanye, Pusha T, and many more. And also about the picture with Halle Berry. Like, he did ask for her permission to post that picture. Yeah, he just... not what I expected. Not what I expected. I think I had higher expectations of this album, and I think I was disappointed heavy. That's all I gotta say about that. And this is MrGentleman album reviews. Do y'all agree with my picks? Which album do y'all feel? Do y'all agree with how I feel about Drake album? How y'all feel about Drake album? I'm gonna post it in the Spotify poll. Y'all let you know. Do y'all enjoy Drake album? Let me know. Thank you, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman, like the podcast and the Premier Boy Podcast. And this commercial is brought to you by the Premier Boy Podcast, where four publicly do where we talk about anything about the culture. You know, hosted by myself, Ken, aka MrGentleman, Mr. Aaron Sands from King Talk with Aaron Sands, the Star Riding Ride, who is also my co-host of the Old School Show, and Long Live the Chief Nolly Bell. And we talk many topics from politics, music, sex, love, relationships, and many more. And also every topic that's going on in the news right now. Many of our topics is very controversial, and the podcast show might not be for everybody because we talk about many explicit content, and yeah. So if y'all decided to check out the show, y'all be warned because y'all might need a drink or two. And yeah, because this podcast is so crazy. I'm shocked that it had not got canceled yet. So if y'all looking forward to listen to the Premier Boy Podcast, check it out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many more. Each and every Wednesday at 12 a.m., you can check out the Premier Boy Podcast with myself, Mr. Aaron Sands, Star Riding Rod, and Long Little Chief Mally Mal. This is your boy Ken, aka MrGentleman. Have a good day and night wherever you're listening to this episode. Now back to the show. Yeah! I just want to take the time to thank everybody for tuning into this latest episode of MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast Presents, a conversation about music podcast, a part of Spinoff Series Thursdays. And y'all get to catch MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast every Sundays for the main series, and every Thursdays for Spinoff Series Thursdays, where we have shows like a conversation about music podcast every first Thursday at 12 p.m. Date Night Talk Podcast with myself and Miss Vanna B every second and third Thursday at 12 p.m. and the Old School Show with myself and the Star Rider Rod every fourth Thursday at 12 p.m. Y'all can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and many more. Y'all can rate the show 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Podchasers. The more y'all rate the show, the more people know about MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast. You can also check me out on the Premier Boys Podcast. Myself, Aaron Kito Sands, the Star Rider Rod, and Long Live the Chief Mighty Mal. Season 4 of the Premier Boys Podcast, January 24th, 2024. January 24th, 2024. You can also check out other shows for the Premier Podverse. Check out my bro, Aaron King Talk Sands show, King Talk with Aaron Sands, every Friday at 12 p.m. And my bro, the Star Riding Rod Star Time Podcast, every Monday at 12 p.m. Look out for my bro, Long Live the Chief, Mally Mal, the Trilogy Podcast coming soon. Check out and support every show on the Premier Podverse Network right now. If you want to be a guest on MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast or any other Spinoff Series Thursday show, send me a bio about yourself and everything that you do to my email, kenypgent@gmail.com, or hit me up on social media, Ken_MrGentleman. I repeat, Ken, Ken _Mr. MR Gentleman, GENTLEMAN, and we can set something up because I am looking for guests for the main series and spin-off series Thursday show. Also, add me on Good Pods, Ken MrGentleman. Y'all already know Good Podcast and many independent podcasters. You can see what everybody listens to. We can rate each other's shows, and we have the charts. At this time, we have MrGentleman Lifestyle Achievements to spotlight everything MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast is doing. And of course, we got the Good Pod charts. And at the time, for top 100 shows, we dropped to number 24 on the top 100 shows charts. For society and culture, we are number 3. On the normal charts, we are number 2. And for top 100 episodes, we are number 35 on the normal charts and number 33 on the indie charts for episode 127. We all need a little push. Thank you everybody for showing the episode love, or the repost, the shout outs, everything, man. It really means a lot. And everybody that felt inspired by the episode, man, it really means a lot. Thank y'all, man. Y'all support is the reason why I do this in the first place, and I'm gonna continue to do this. Once again, thank y'all for the encouraging messages and stuff for the episode. It really means a lot. Thank y'all. And of course, y'all can check out the official MrGentleman Lifestyle Podcast website, www.realMrGentlemanLifestylePodcast.com, where y'all can watch every video from Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast, from Mr. Gentleman Fact Quote of the Day, audio version of Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast, and the Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast TV. Y'all can also listen to every episode as well. You can listen to every episode. Y'all can check out every guest that's been on my show, all 62 guests. Y'all can check out every guest appearance that I've been on. We got more new guest appearances coming real soon. And of course, we have merch. Y'all can buy merch through the Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast store at www.tpublic.com and search Mr. Gentleman Like That Podcast on the website. Or y'all can buy merch through the website. We have shirts, hoodies. You better get on some hoodies because it is hoodie season. Some masks, and many more. Mugs and many more. So support Mr. Gentleman Like the Podcast and buy some merch. And check out the website www.realmrgentlemanlikethatpodcast.com and continue to support the show by listening, sharing, rating. Answer the polls, because we got polls on Spotify. Answer the polls on Spotify. Get back on the charts. And many more. You know, like I said, it means a lot to do the show after a week of, you know, my throat being messed up. So happy to do the show. And happy to bring y'all more episodes. Y'all already know next Sunday, we have a new episode of The Gentleman Like the Podcast. And we got Date That Talk Podcast next Thursday. And thank y'all for checking out the latest episode of The Gentleman Like the Podcast Presents, a conversation about music podcast. Have a good day or night, wherever you're listening to this episode.
My name is Jonathan, and you are now listening to Mr. Gentleman Lifestyle Podcast.